Hello, and welcome to Crunchy Bytes, a show which tackles video games throughout the years and how they dealt with the limitations of their hardware. Well, at this point,
it's only a model. Shh.
Consider this video a prototype, a beta for what is to come. But before we get into this short excerpt of the full thing, I'd like to take a brief moment to take a look at what has led up to this point. When I sat down to create Crunchy Bytes, I first posted a thread on Reddit to the subreddit r/TrueGaming. A full rundown of my experience there can be found on my blog, the link to which you will find in the description of this video. It was where I got a lot of my inspiration of what I was going to tackle. So inspired by the overwhelming response to this thread, I've decided to take a look at the PS1 in particular. It's a console which brilliantly advocates and showcases creativity through limitation, of triumphing over the bounded and restricted tools that are available to you. On top of taking a look at how these games were created structurally, however, I'll also be giving my own personal thoughts and feelings on the console and its library of games, having grown up with them from a very early age. If you want to learn more about this topic, I suggest having a gander at the full list of resources I used to make this video. That list can be found on the upcoming blog post I'll be writing about this video, which also includes other extra tidbits. I'll also post that link in the description. Now, with that as our lens, let's take a deep dive into the OG PlayStation that started it all. The PlayStation 1. A veritable smorgasbord of classics, dominated by the RPG, by the platformer, and of course, by horror. A success unlike any other, until its younger brother came along of course, and smashed all previous console records. But the PlayStation 1 still did alarmingly well. Current sales figures suggest it sold over 100 million units, and still currently remains one of the best performing consoles ever put on the market. Which is all the more impressive, considering the immense turmoil which it was born out of. Infamously, a deal between Nintendo and Sony was forged sometime in the late 80s to create a brand new CD-based console. However, the deal fell through rather quickly, the details of which are still a bit murky. Whatever the outcome, Sony took their CD technology ball and went home, or back to their offices, to create what is now known as the very first PlayStation. Its specs were rather beefy. It had a 32-bit R3000A RISC as its central processing unit, which was used by a lot of high-performance Unix systems. In other words, it was hardware that tessellated well with MS-DOS and Windows stuff. It had an absolutely staggering 16 megabits of RAM, no, it's too much! As well as a colour palette of 16 possible colours. Sorry, I meant 16 million possible colours. It's a pretty important difference. And it could render 360,000 polygons per second, which is apparently the same number of polygons that make up this render someone did of a Tyrannosaurus Rex's head in Maya in 2008, so there's that. The point is, it was powerful for its time, on top of using CD-ROM technology, which was new and mysterious for a lot of people. It also meant developers had room to breathe, as they could fit a lot more across multiple discs. But it usually meant the dreaded FMV or full-motion video cutscenes would become a thing, and they're great. In fact, for a lot of multi-disc games, the vast majority of them just contained FMVs as the majority of the content, with the game code and assets being largely the same between all discs. They were also used to overcome limitations of loading as well, hiding the loading zones between areas with FMVs. Bear in mind, however, the only source I can find on this was a little section in a Final Fantasy wiki article, which didn't have any references to back it up, so take that with a grain of salt. Anyhow, it meant the new technology that the PlayStation 1 presented meant new effects, details, and high-quality props and audio that could be fully realised, bringing games closer to the real and tangible. And with that being said, that's all I have time for to talk about today, sadly. If you want to see more, please give me feedback in the comments on what you think could be improved. Again, bear in mind this is a work in progress and by no means a final product. I know there's a lot I need to improve. But perhaps just to get you hooked in for next time, I will hint at the two games I will be looking at in the full video. Let's just say one's a platformer and the other is a very famous horror title. See you next time, and stay safe.